Hello everybody, it is very nice to have you. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how data flow works in the T3 stack, so the T3 stack for beginners, and more specifically we're going to be taking a look at tRPC. If you've never heard of that, it's like the glue that keeps your front and your back end nicely glued together in a type-safe way, so when you make changes on one front, you also get notified on the other, so everything is type-safe, and you just spend way less time maintaining the whole TypeScript thing. If that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned for the video, and let's take a look and dive right in. Okay, now to get started with the T3 stack, the only thing you need to do is create a new folder, like on your desktop, call it whatever you want, and then inside that folder you can open a either PowerShell or a CMD. I'm just gonna do PowerShell, and then you're gonna type in npx create t3 app dot. So the dot means don't create it in a subfolder, and then it's gonna initialize, it's gonna walk you through the whole installation process of the T3 app. You really can't do anything wrong here. Now I'm not gonna do it because I already did this exact thing right here in the T3 shopping list, which is called that because that's gonna be our next project. So what you'll find in this project right here is pretty much the exact same thing as initializing a T3 app from scratch. Now, to really show the power of tRPC, first I think it makes sense to take a look at how traditionally you would handle API routes in NextJS. So as you can see right here, we have an index page and an introduction API route. Let's start up the server to see what that looks like and go to localhost 3000. Okay, so right now you can see your name is John Doe. So what happened here? When this component renders the index page, so whenever you visit the home page, this API route is called from the use effect. What it does is essentially just return one single thing that is an object that has a name of John Doe that we then render in this component by setting the state first. So the UI updates whenever the name changes, and then we just render it down here. Now, one of the big problems with this approach is that you don't have type safety. What that means is the data right here, as you can see, is any. So TypeScript does not know what kind of data comes back from this API. And there are two solutions to that. Either you don't care at all, but then you're not reaping any rewards of basically using TypeScript. You could just be using regular JavaScript. So there's no real point in just letting this data be any. The traditional approach to solve this is to create a new file called something like typings.dts, and then in this file you define a shared type for front and back end. For example, you have the type of answer, which is equal to an object that has a name, and that name is a string, right? And then you would use that to define the API response. So that would be the answer type right there. What, is that working? Yeah, that's working. Okay. And then right here, you would also have the answer, and then you see the data is type safe. So data.name, for example. Now, the problem with that approach is that you have to maintain a lot of stuff, right? Because imagine you really expand this project and it gets a lot of API routes. You would have more maintaining than actual coding to do. Maintaining this would be a real pain and totally unnecessary as well when you consider there are options like tRPC. So for example, if you were to return something like name undefined here, there would be an error. But if you, like for example, wouldn't infer the type, there wouldn't be any error. And then, you know, you wouldn't know what you get because you're expecting something different from the front end, but you are getting undefined. So either you maintain, or the other option, which is even worse, you don't maintain at all, but then you have data any, which is like the worst approach you could take. Now, contrast that with tRPC, and tRPC makes working with front and back end way easier. And the way it does that is you have separate routes, just like the API routes, but the types are inferred completely automatically, also using Zod. And I'm going to show you what this means. So whenever you're installing a new T3 app or installing tRPC in your current project, then you will have something that looks like this. You have the environment folder, you have the pages folder, and then the server, which is pretty much the important stuff. And then you have the router, which is where all the magic happens, right? You don't really need to worry about all the other folders too much, like the environment. You don't really need to worry about this either. What I would recommend is disabling the query logger. So whenever you're using a real database to communicate in the stack, you would probably want to disable the query so you don't get a console log in the backend each time that Prisma queries the database, because that can really spam your console. But the most important part happens right here inside the context, the index, and the file we're going to create in a second. So essentially what we're doing is creating a router, and that router will be the basis of our entire backend. And the way we can utilize that is by creating a new router. Let's call it name router. And I'm choosing this name because right now we want to copy the exact functionality that is happening right here. Not that, but name being returned, right? We want to do the exact same thing in tRPC, so you can have a very like a side-to-side comparison. So tRPC router. And okay, what are we gonna do here? We're importing the create router from tRPC/server. Never mind, that's not server. We're importing that from the context. So right here, we are exporting the create router function. We're gonna use that right here. We are exporting a constant, and let's call that name router. And you will see why we chose that name in a second. It's gonna be create router. And then you have two options right here. If you want to read data by making a GET request to the database or wherever, you have the query method, right? That is whenever you want to use a GET request. Whenever you want to change or upload data or delete data, whatever, like anything else except a GET request, then you would use the mutation. So that is pretty much for everything else besides a GET request. But because we want to monitor this function right here, just the name being returned, we are gonna make a GET request pretty much, and we will call it get name. And then this get name as the second parameter of the query is gonna receive a function. Now what you could do is define an input right here. And what that would do is every time you want to make a request from the client, it would force this input to be made with the request, or it would throw like a type error. So you see that you still need to pass the input. For now, we don't want it. So let's delete that right now. And we're gonna have a resolve function. That resolve function is probably gonna be async in your case if you are working with a database, so you can await the Prisma requests. For now, we don't really need that because we just want to return one name, and then we can just return John Doe. And that's pretty much all we need to do. As you can see, the syntax is a bit different, right? Because in the case of tRPC, we are just literally returning the value, whereas with the original Next.js approach, we would have all that jazz, like the status and the JSON, whatever. We don't need that in tRPC. Makes working with tRPC a lot easier. And you would just have the string from the backend returned to the front end. Okay, so now the question is, how do we get this data to the front end? And the first step we need to take is actually implement this router to be recognized by tRPC in the index router. So this is where every sub router is implemented. And to do that, you just have a merge on the original create router, and that merge is gonna be the name right here. So let's have the command name, and then we will have the name router whenever we want to execute this query. So the command in tRPC would be name, and then the convention is to have dot after it, so name dot, and then this method we call from the front end. Let's see how that looks like. So on the front end, we can have tRPC dot either use query in case you want to make a GET request, or use mutation, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to, you know, like update data, delete data, post data, whatever. In our case, we want the use query right now. We do not want that. And the use query is going to take a string array. And if you press Control Spacebar, you can already see what options you have available for making queries. And this is the only router we currently have. And that is one cool thing about tRPC. It automatically infers your options So you can't really do anything wrong while working with it. Alright, and we are using that query, and right now this query wouldn't really do much. It would fetch the data from the backend to the front end to the index page right here, but we're not doing anything with the data. So to work with the data, let's create a state, call it name. That name is going to be an empty string for now. We still need to import the state, and then working with tRPC is way easier than a traditional API approach, because you don't really need a big try-catch block to handle everything, because the tRPC as a second argument takes an object, and that object has multiple properties. So it has like the onSuccess, as you can see here, onSettled, which is pretty much the equivalent of a finally in a try-catch block. You also have onError. There's a lot of methods you can use to handle the data flow. Right now we want the onSuccess, and we're gonna get the data that comes from the backend as the first argument. So in this case it would just be the string John Doe. So let's call it name. And what do we want to do with that name? We want to set the state to the name, and then we can render out the name right here. So let's spin this project up in the browser, go to localhost 3001, and as you can see, it worked just like the first approach. Let's take a look at what happens in the network tab. So let's restart the page, and a lot of this is not really relevant, but as you can see right here, there's a name.getName. So that's the function we're calling from tRPC. That's gonna run every time this page is like refreshed or whatever. We can disable that, but I don't really have a problem with it right now. So it works perfectly, and one very nice feature about tRPC is that whenever you change the output of the router, so for instance, let's return undefined right here, as you can see, there's immediately an error that notifies us that this can either be John Doe or it can be undefined. So there's not really the risk of handling unexpected data on the front end, because you know exactly what kind of data you are expecting. Also, loading state handling in tRPC is way easier as well, because if you take a look at what you can destructure from this hook right here, it is a lot of things you can destructure, but the most important ones are probably data, which is pretty much the same thing as this, or undefined when the function hasn't been run or is currently loading. And there's a property called isLoading. So say for instance you do not want this to render until you have the data or the loading is done. So what you can do is, if no data or the query right here is still loading from the backend, then we want to return a div and that says loading. Now that's probably gonna be pretty fast in the browser. As you can see, it said loading for a second there. I can make it a bit easier for you to see. Sleep function, and then we can just, before returning the value, await a sleep of like 2 seconds. We do need to make this async for that. And if we take a look now, then it says loading for 2 seconds, and then your name is John Doe is immediately available, because the query obviously doesn't take a lot of time to load. And those are pretty much the basic structures of data flow in tRPC. Now, obviously there's a lot more to this, and to expand on this knowledge, we will create a project together in one of the next videos, which is going to be an actual full stack shopping list. So stay tuned for that. I'm very excited for that project. Right now, I just wanted to, show how to get started with a T3 stack, how tRPC works. And because I really like tRPC, I built a whole, startup based on it. So the startup we're building together on this channel is actually also based on tRPC and the T3 stack in general. So also Prisma, SQL, and Tailwind CSS, and obviously TypeScript. So just to prove that tRPC is actually something that is very much production ready, and yeah, something that you can build really nice projects with. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video on the basics of data flow with tRPC and getting started with a T3 stack. I'm looking forward to the project of the shopping list in one of the next videos, and see you then. Have a good one. Bye bye.